We're speaking about green shoots, and boy, the Indian residential space might finally be turning a corner as well. Anarock Property Consultants put out a report which suggests that builders are back with new launches. More importantly, absorption has really picked up. This is after 2017 seeing a lot of change for real estate sector as a whole. Joining me now is Anuj Puri, Chairman at Anarock Property Consultants on the show. Anuj, good having you. Thanks so much for taking the time out. I was reading your note yesterday late evening when we requested you to come in and chat with us this morning. Tell us about this importance of this absorption that you've put out. I mean, is it that large launches have been absorbed by buyers, or is it that launches were low and therefore the absorption rate was high?
Very good morning, and you make a very important point. So just for the viewers to understand what absorption means, in lay terms, it means sales. So what we are seeing is three factors. The first factor is that the sales in January and February have doubled from where they were last year, January and February 2017. So, that gives us comfort that means that the home buyers are starting to come out into the market, and we're starting to see some signs of green shoots coming in, given that the sales have doubled from the first 2 months of 2017 to the first 2 months of calendar year 2018. The second is, and it's an important point to differentiate, the launches across India have gone down when you compare the 2017 period with the first 2 months of 2018. However, two cities, Mumbai and Bangalore, the launches have increased several fold. So which is really interesting is that whilst at an India level, the new launches have gone down in January and February, but for Bangalore and Mumbai, the new launches have really moved up. And I think that's the sign that the first two markets that are coming out of this cycle are really Bangalore and Mumbai, where we are starting to see the unsold inventory in these two markets going down, as a result of which the developers are becoming enthusiastic once again to say is, let's get into launching the new projects, given that the absorption has been significant over the last couple of quarters in Bombay and in Bangalore, as a result of which the unsold inventory has declined, and it may be the time to do new launches. But that is not the story for the rest of the India. Certainly not for NCR, where we have seen launches continuing to go down in those markets. So a little bit confusing, but just for the viewers to understand that the absorption across India, which is the sales, has improved. New launches overall for India have declined, but Mumbai and Bangalore, those two cities stand out, where new launches have improved, perhaps because the unsold inventory in these two cities have sharply declined, as a result of which it has created enthusiasm in the developers to take the courage to do the new launches.
So the two factors to this, Anuj, as I understand it, what new launches would be a factor of how confident companies or builders are, but absorption would be an indicator of how confident the buyer is. And irrespective of whether it's absorption of new launches or ready inventory, the fact that absorption is moving up indicates the return of the buyer who's been elusive for the last 24 months or probably longer.
You're absolutely right. The enthusiasm in the builder's mind is really on two aspects. One is when the unsold inventory starts to decline, and second is when the absorption starts to increase. I think for Bombay and Bangalore, both these cities, that has been happening. The situation has started to change after nearly 36 months. We've been in this period for nearly 36 months. And I think one factor that has really helped this market in these two cities is that the developers in Mumbai and Bangalore did rationalize the price. So between 7 to 17% on an average, they rationalize the price. The moment they've rationalized the price, we've started to see the energy start coming back into the market from the buyers, and we've started to see that the absorption or the sales have increased and the unsold inventory has gone down. So it's been 36 months since we've been in this lull. We would say Jan, Feb have been the first 2 months that we've started to see some early green shoots in these two markets come up.
Wow. I know it's a busy morning, Anuj, but one quick question. I think the last point that you've made in your report is that 2018 might be a good year for end users to make the move, but more importantly, the ratio of end users versus investors in the Indian residential sector is a telling 70-30. Is this a stark difference from what we've seen historically? I mean, historically, what was the ratio looking like, and how different is this 70-30?
So it has become very, very different. And the way that we do the investors at 30% is not speculators. So historically, it has been end users, investors, and speculators. And I'll just differentiate between investors and speculators quickly. Investors are guys who are buying these properties either for, as the kids grow up and then they would need to use that property, or for pure rental. Speculators are the one who come in and get into the property, hoping that over the next 12, 18 months, there will be a rise in the price and they'll be able to flip the property. So previously, speculators, certainly like in an NCR market, you would have 30-40% speculators, you would have 20-30% investors, and you would have end users as only 30%. Now, the speculators in the real estate across India have really disappeared. So the 30-40% that speculators were there in various markets have disappeared. Now it's just divided between two categories. One is the end users, which we believe is about 70%, and then long-term investors who are not speculators, about 30%. So that's how it has got differentiated, where speculators have got really elbowed out from the market, and only two players who are left, the end user and the long-term investor.
Wow. Well, which is probably not bad for the long-term, rather the end buyer, Anuj. Typically, they never used to be able to get to buy because prices went through the roof due to speculation activity or investor activity. Now maybe people like us can buy flats, which is actually a great thing. But really good talking to you today, Anuj. Thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us for this very quick perspective. Very interesting note, I might add. So thanks so much for that as well.